In this video, we're going to continue texture the floor and also the wall. Let's go ahead and texture the floor first. Click on the floor. Let's assign new material. Choose a Lambert. Sometimes you cannot find any, after you assign the Lambert, you cannot find it right. You just need to right click here again and choose material attribute, and you'll focus back to the Lambert. So then from here, the color, let's choose on the checkers and choose file, and let's look for the texture called interior 01 D, which I provided inside the folder. This one, interior 01 underscore D. Now you have the texture assigned. Now, as usual, whenever you assign new textures, a new material to the object, the UV usually is off, right? So let's go ahead to open up the UV editor and check the UV. If depends on your previous setting, right? If the previous file you did, right? If your image range is turned on to show all the different outside images, you can actually reset it back. So we just focus on just one at the moment. And now let's go and planar this UV using a planar projection. Let's use a Y, bounding box Y. So now it fits entirely to the texture itself. But notice here, this is not what we want. We only want to use this part only. This small little part of images that is going to use it throughout the floor, right? So let's go ahead and use UV and then just move. Let's move the UV set so it fits to the texture here. That should do about it. Double check, does it go outside the texture? Let's put inside a bit more. So now we have scaled it properly, but notice here, if you compare the floor to the character, it seems that the floor tile is a bit too big, right? So this is actually a common mistake when they make games environment, like they don't actually check on the scale to the character. So that's pretty weird, the comparison of the scale, right? So this is not something what we want. So now let's go ahead and let's try to get a scale that fits to the character, can we? So let's scale this thing out and see what we can get. Right, let's say if we scale up to something about that, and you notice that, okay, this should feel right. You should be feel right. If you want to scale a bit more, yeah, why not? There's probably the right scale, which if you follow the grid. Now once you happy with this one, let's turn off this editor and just turn back to normal again. We want to split out the polygon because we only have one faces here, which we cannot use it to edit the UV, right? We want to use the function connect. Let's choose edge, go to connect. Let's use the option. So now look at the segment here. We have one. At the moment, it's one line in the middle. If we change the segment to 2, we have 2 lines and it fits just nicely to the texture, right? Notice that. Press enter and the line will be created. The line will be created. Let's go ahead and create the lines, connect the lines on the other direction. Go ahead, connect. Connect. Should be under mesh to connect. Have to select. Okay, I created the line just now. So I'm going to select again, repeat again. I'm going to use the connect tool under mesh tool. So you have the 2 option here on. Then once okay, right, you can create. Now once you're done, right, you have 9 square here, which nicely fit into the texture. So let's go back and open up the UV editor again. So now we have the 9 square that we needed, and the first one seems to fit nicely to the texture itself. So now we want to move this one to fit the texture that's outside of the U0 to 1 UV space. So we are turn on the image range again. Now let's increase the number of it. Okay, apply. Once you're done now, okay, now we want to plana this one to it. Let's turn off the grid so it's more clearer. So, but at the moment it's actually still part of the same UV, and if you try to do it, it'll stretch. So we need to separate this out. Look under the UV toolkit, which if you don't know how to open, is under here. UV toolkit, show UV toolkit. Go under cut and sew, and select the faces that you want to move, and turn on create UV shell. And then this UV shell is separated, and you notice that you can move it to fit the texture that you want. Let's move it because the size is correct already. We just need to move it so it matches. There you go. Let's do the same for the rest. So you need to always select the face, turn on the UV shelf, and you move it. Face, create UV shell, move it. Do the same for the rest. In the floor pieces like this, right, usually we want to think about the topology first, which is why we learn about Atlas, because once you understand that the UV, so you understand the UV set, right, will affect the topology. When you do modeling, you think about it. So it's why important for me to highlight this. When you do modeling, right, let's think about what kind of lines you want to add to the model. So you cannot simply add any lines you want, because that will be chaotic, because you create a lot of chaotic lines, which is going to be a problem when you try to UV unwrap it later, because you don't know which line actually will affect your model topology and which one you can remove. But once you plan like this, right, you actually has a very good advantage before you even go to UV texturing. Here example, so to show you that actually what I mean. There you go. So now the floor is actually done. So let's turn off the grid. Now you probably notice that if you see a little bit strange, or let's say weird pixel, probably means that there's a gray color here. Probably means that the UV that didn't stretch it properly. So you need to find out where is the UV for this one. So let's say we select the UV, and we notice that, okay, so it's around here. So let's say we check, it's not this one, right? So this one. So probably this part here is a bit wrong. Let's go and check. It actually stretches into the silver, sorry, the gray texture floor a bit. Let's move it aside that. Let's try again and see. Was it correct? Yep, that'll solve the problem. Right, so now we have a very nice floor tile. Okay, let's save it before it's crashed. Do habit of keep saving your files, no, or else it will crash. So now we have the floor done. So it works well already. It looks something like this. Okay. So my texture is actually disappear again, so I'll just turn off for you to see. Looks work, they're almost the same, and the character to the floor tile looks alright. Okay. So now let's try to do the texturing for the wall in our next video, and then we'll explore about the pivot for the wall also.